Welcome back to BST, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on yet another episode. Today, wanted to go on here, give my instant reaction to Game 7 between the St. Louis Blues and the Winnipeg Jets, as well as kind of a recap of the first round of the NBA playoffs. The Rockets and the Warriors faced off tonight for their very own Game 7. Wasn't as exciting of a game. But yeah, I wanted to go through that, where my picks stand, and kind of a view of the second round. Yesterday, me and my dad went through the NHL playoffs and their first round. So let's get into this Game 7 between the Blues and the Jets. It was a thriller. Like I said, it was so entertaining. I think I missed like half of the first period. By the time I was able to actually tune into the game, it was already 2-0 Blues, and that caused a lot of controversy very early because obviously throughout this playoff and through past playoffs, Connor Hellebuck's performance in these games has not been great, and it's been a narrative that has been moved and passed along throughout his career. So coming into this game, there was a big question. I know we discussed it last time. Will they start him? Will they not? I thought they should have. They do. I don't think you can't. I find it very hard to believe they wouldn't start the Vezina. The Vezina winner, you got to start him. You got to ride with him. But 2 goals, very fluky. The first one was fluky. Second one was also pretty fluky. But at this point, with Hellebuck, it's not even about like what these goals are, if they're bad, stuff like that. Like it's just like if he allows goals, the chatter starts, and I can only imagine the pressure that guy feels. Not only because he's widely regarded as the best goaltender in the league, but every time now in the playoffs he allows a goal, the sky is falling. Like, playoff Hellebuck is here. The Jets are screwed. So I can only imagine the pressure that guy has on his shoulders on a given basis during a game. So they go down 2-0 early, and it's looking really good for the Blues. Kyrou scores the first one. Joseph scores the second one. And I believe that lasted until the third period. And it was just a strong start for the Blues. It was the start they needed, I thought. When you're facing, because I believe the Jets are the better team. So when you're facing a team like that on the road, you got to be able to start fast like that. And then you enter the third period up 3-1. The Jets get a score to make it 2-1. Gets it pretty close, but then Blues answer right back, making it 3-1. So then you enter the third period up 3-1. You're feeling good about your lead. All you have to do is just shut them down. And let me just say, Jordan Binnington was absolutely outstanding tonight. I think at the end of the day, all 4 of the goals that he allowed were tipped or deflected in some way or another, which is outstanding. If you're as a goalie and you're not allowing just straight shots past you, and the only ones that are getting past you are ones that are just extremely difficult to stop, that is truly outstanding performance. And it's what we have grown to expect from Binnington in these big games, and he brought it again. But let's just talk about the craziness at the end. With just under 2 minutes left, It's 3-1 for the Blues, and the Jets get a goal, another deflection, like I said, to make it 3-2. Perfetti on that one, and I believe there was like a minute 59 at that point. And then that's when I kind of like, okay, this gets interesting. Can they get another one? And the clock ticks down. The Blues had multiple chances to try and hit the empty net. Were not able to do so. So the clock's clicking, going down. There's like 15 seconds left. They're in a board battle. I'm like, all right, I don't know that the Jets will be able to get a shot off. It's like the Blues have moved on. The puck escapes, gets up to Nikolai Ehlers. He fans on the shot, goes back down. The puck finds his way back up to the point to Ehlers. He fires it across the ice, and Nemestikov shoots it. Kind of flutters off his stick a little bit, and Velarde is able to tip it perfectly top shelf over Binnington to tie the game with like 1.5 remaining. It was an insane play by Perfetti. So that happens. 3-3. Crowd goes nuts. We're going to overtime. I thought the first overtime period, there was a great chance for the Blues early on. Turnover by the Jets right in front of Hellebuck. Hellebuck is able to make the save. But honestly, I thought it was back and forth. I know during like the intermission, the TNT guys were saying they thought the Blues were kind of unraveling a little bit. I didn't think so. I thought the Blues had chances. I thought the Jets had chances. I thought it was really just back and forth. Obviously, the collapse by the Blues in the third was not great, but that's more just kind of a puck luck thing, in my opinion. Sometimes it falls your way, sometimes it doesn't, and it didn't for the Blues. In the first overtime, back and forth, but we escape the frame, no score, going to double OT, and it was more of the same, I thought, throughout most of it. Really, I didn't think there was much for either team. They had good chances, but it wasn't like lopsided anyway. But then yet another deflection goal by Lowry. Pionk from the point sends it in. Lowry is able to deflect it, and I think it goes off of a Blues player as well, past Binnington to win the game and send the Jets to the second round to face the Dallas Stars. Absolute cinema of a game. You couldn't ask for more for a Game 7, no doubt. It was truly entertaining to watch. I just thought, what a battle between two teams. Kind of concerning for the Jets. You're the President's Trophy winning team, and you get pushed this far. Obviously, the Blues are hot. The Blues have been playing playoff hockey since January. They've been fighting for a playoff spot since then. So, like they've been used to these kind of games where every game matters. So I think both the wild cards in the West were pretty formidable compared to past years, and even compared to the East wild cards. So, I don't think the Blues are really wild card material. So I'm not going to put too much blame on the Jets. They are going to have a really tough matchup with the Dallas Stars, of course. I'm not super confident in the Jets. I'm not super confident in them being able to beat Dallas. We'll see how that series goes. But yeah, what a series. You got to feel for the Blues. You got to feel for Binnington a little bit. To blow a lead like that is not fun. I mean, that is brutal, especially just like 1 second left on the clock. You hold on to the puck a little bit longer on the boards and the game is over. Or you hit your empty net and they had chances, the game is over. So now they're going home. Outstanding season for them. At the Four Nations break, they were like 8 points back from a playoff spot. To win on the run they did, win all those games in a row, make the playoffs. There was no pressure on them. So I feel bad for them, but at the end of the day, the pressure was on the Blues to win this. They did. I'm happy, or sorry, not the Blues, the Jets to win this. They did. I'm happy for the Jets. And I think it will set up the better matchup in round 2 with the Stars. As much as I like the Blues and they're hot, I just think the Jets match up better overall. Just they can match them star for star a lot better, I believe. And I think this could be a big momentum swing for Hellebuck. If he played really well in the overtime, both overtime periods. He played really, really well. So if he can continue that into this next series, I think the Jets can. There's a realistic world where the Jets can win against the Stars. I don't think the Jets can win in 6. I think if the Jets win, it's in 7. I think the Stars can win in 6 or 7. I don't see this series going any less than 6, in my opinion. I just think, the Jets, they've dominated all year. They have the players in place. Morrissey left early in this game, so we'll see where that goes. Scheifele didn't play, so again, we'll see where that is. And then on Dallas's side, you got Heiskanen, Robertson. When do they go? I've heard Robertson might be out for most of the playoffs. But getting Heiskanen back will be big enough anyway. I'm sure he's close. He's been out for a while, so that will be interesting in this upcoming series. But ultimately, it falls on Hellebuck. If he's on, the Jets can go a long way. If he's not, they won't. He was on in the OT. Fantastic hockey. And this is where I kind of want to bridge the gap between the NHL and the NBA, which we'll get to next. I haven't watched very much of the NBA playoffs. To me, where hockey and even the NBA and other sports differs is the NBA, there is so much scoring, and hitting a layup in the second quarter does not matter. I mean, it matters in the grand scheme of things because that contributed to your total score at the end. But in that singular moment, it's not as big as in, say, football. You score a touchdown, and that's a big point in the game. You could only score 3 or 4 touchdowns if your offense is good in a game. So you're already a quarter of a way to your goal of scoring 3-4 touchdowns in a game or whatever. You know what I'm saying? In hockey, 1 goal is huge. You can win a game scoring 1 goal. And that can be the only goal scored in a game. So and then in baseball, it's there's only so many runs scored in a game, and they're all pivotal and super hard to get. And in basketball, I just think it's there's so much back and forth, so little defense. It's a lot of just not high effort on the defensive end. It's not a watchable product. And I know that's going to get some hate. I know there's going to be those NBA fans who are just you're wrong. The NBA is awesome. But I really think it's a problem with just the sport of basketball. And honestly, to anybody who has not watched a hockey game, I'm telling you, just give it a shot. Learn the game a little bit, and you will just it is one of the most fun sports to watch, in my opinion. I'd probably put it 2. I'm a football fan at heart, but hockey, I can watch a hockey game very similarly to how I can watch a football game. I was glued to the screen today, so that's kind of how I view this. It's I can't watch a basketball game all the way through. It's so just monotonous and boring. It's the same thing over and over again. There's a flashy play here and there, but honestly, half the flashy plays are maybe a crazy 3-point shot or something. So it's not a product that I'm really interested in until the last 5 minutes of game if it's close. It's just the truth. I think it's very similar to watching a NASCAR race. You wait till the final 5 laps and you tune in to see who can win, or if there's a crazy wreck or a pass or something, you know. And that's how I view the NBA. And in some cases, that's how I view kind of like baseball. If it's close, I'll tune into the end. But I'd say like football and hockey, those are sports that I can watch throughout because every moment is so pivotal. And in basketball, it's just not this. It's not that same way. And I know I love basketball. I think it's a great sport. It's one of the most fun sports to play. But I think that's where a lot of people cannot watch the game of basketball all the way through because it's kind of boring at times. And I get it. It's going to get hate. I already know it. I already know that opinion is hated. And I know the NHL isn't as popular as the NBA. I understand that. But I'm telling you, just give it a try. Just give it a try. Watch this next round, round 2 of the NHL playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs. You'll blow your mind. And obviously, there's gonna be stinkers that suck, and even those games, I don't want to watch them either. But there were a lot of good games in this last round. So I'm just saying, give hockey a chance. Give hockey a chance, and you'll learn to love it. But let's move on to the NBA. All right, let's start with the game and the series that ended tonight. Warriors-Rockets. Warriors win the series in 7, 4-3. I had the Rockets winning it. I had them going to the conference final. So, don't love that, obviously. For me, I think the Rockets need to make a move probably. Jalen Green, man, he is just so like up and down. His shooting is way off at times. I was pretty impressed by Şengün from the times that I did watch him in this series. I thought he had shades of Jokic in him. Van Vliet had that big game in Game 6 to force the Game 7. But ultimately, I thought the Rockets were going to be able to guard Steph and the Warriors a lot better than they were able to. I mean, the Rockets won when they were able to limit Steph. But it ultimately ended up being the Rockets' offense, and were they able to get going. The Warriors play a great defensive game, and the games that the Warriors won, they were able to limit Houston's offense. And so that was a big part of this game. So the Warriors moving on. I'm not sure how far the Warriors can go, but I think it's interesting. The squad they've built, obviously, you got Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, defensive guy. So I'm interested to see how far this Warriors team can go. As long as you have Steph, anything is possible, because Steph is just unbelievable. I love Steph. So, but yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in the Rockets. I mean, they battled, they came back, but man, that offense at times was just pretty hard to watch. We're not able to get going. And I was just hoping, like I said, they would be able to guard the Warriors better than they were. So that was a pick that I got wrong. Continuing the West. Oh, man, it is so awesome to watch the Lakers lose. I don't really know where my hatred of the Lakers comes from. As a Jazz fan, they don't really, I mean, what have the Lakers done to the Jazz, really? So, like, it's not from that, but I think it's just the fact that the Lakers always been good, always have had good players, especially the Luka thing this year just really pissed me off for no reason. But the Timberwolves, man, they beat the Lakers 4-1. Truly impressive from the Timberwolves. But honestly, Timberwolves, you have Ant, obviously, really a coming out party. We already knew Ant was good, but I felt like in this series it was kind of a new side of him, just the tenacity, him like kind of pushing on LeBron a little bit. I thought that was awesome. But honestly, this is more about the Lakers. Anytime you make Rudy Gobert look like a dominant center offensively, that's when you know you have a problem. And the Lakers thought they were going to be able to just push out a super small ball lineup and be able to win this series, and it was just not the case. You know, I like the Luka trade, obviously, but it got rid of your only big man. And there was that trade. I can't remember exact who the player was, but he was that center on the Hornets, I believe. Williams. I can't remember his first name, but that trade fell through, and that could have been the center that they needed in this series. But I mean, I think the Lakers are more playing for the long run here with the Luka trade. And another big thing in this series was Luka's defense was horrible. I mean, I think that I can't remember what stat it was, but it showed how much the Timberwolves were really just focusing on trying to drive and take advantage of Luka's defensive play, because he is truly bad on the defensive end. And he just needs, I mean, I've always said it, half of defense in the NBA is just showing effort, just trying, hustling. You don't have to have these crazy skills to play good defense. If you just hustle, you know your assignments, stuff like that, you can be a pretty good defender in the NBA. But Luka, I mean, he just shows a lack of effort. And that could be some of what the Mavericks were concerned about. I mean, he's one of the greatest offensive players of all time. So I don't think that, again, I've already talked about the trade. Go check out that video. But what I'm saying is it doesn't really matter in this grand scheme of things, because he's still Luka. But in this series specifically, the Lakers' downfall came because they didn't have a center. They had no rim protector to even challenge Gobert. And Luka was just horrid defensively. And Anthony Edwards was pretty great. So I think the Lakers are set up for the future. Be interesting to see what LeBron does this offseason. I don't think he'll retire, but we'll probably have kind of a similar to Aaron Rodgers kind of thing. Just little hints here or there that he may or may not. So, but yeah, Timberwolves moving on to face the Warriors. So that should be an interesting series. Moving on. Nuggets Clippers. This was a tough series for me to pick. I picked the Clippers, and I thought with Zubats, I thought he was going to be able to shut down Jokic a little bit. And you know, they replaced Paul George with some just kind of depth pieces. And I think in basketball, depth is huge, because once your starting lineup goes off the court, you're going to need some guys to jump in there and be able to hold it down while your stars get some rest. And I thought if Kawhi can stay healthy, he can go toe-to-toe with any star in the league, defensively and offensively. But their shortcomings really came because of James Harden. He had a really bad Game 7. I think he had like 7 points, which we have come to expect from him. But yeah, Jokic was able to get going. And, you know, one of the more interesting players in the series was Russell Westbrook. Obviously, former Clipper. They traded him to the Jazz. The Jazz bought him out or released him or something, enabling the Nuggets to sign him. And he made some big plays. He's one of those players that will like brick a three in crunch time, but then get the game-winning steal like he did in Game 1. But yeah, it was a hard-fought series. I do think Denver deserved to win. I wish I would have picked Denver. Nikola Jokic is one of my favorite players in the league. Just love what that guy does on game in, game out. So creative on the offensive end. I think probably top 15 greatest offensive player, if not top 10 of all time. Jamal Murray was doing his thing, and the Nuggets are moving on. They're going to have a tough matchup, though, because let's move on to the Thunder versus the Grizzlies. Not much to talk about here. Thunder dominated them. No, no reason to beat around the bush here. The first game, I think, was one of the biggest margins of victory ever. It was like 40 or 50 points. So that's kind of exactly what you can imagine the rest of the series went. The last game of the series was pretty close, but they swept them. This is what we expect from the Thunder. One of the best teams in the league, if not the best. But that brings up an intriguing matchup. Let's talk about the West matchups in the second round before we move on to the East first round. Thunder Nuggets. I think this could be similar to Mavs Thunder last year. Can Jokic get the upset? I think it's possible. But the Thunder are really good. I think the Thunder will win. I have concerns about the Nuggets' defensive play. The Thunder got what it takes to shut down Jokic. Obviously, you can't really shut down Jokic, but you got Hartenstein back there. I think Chet Holmgren's back. I'm not exactly sure on that. I didn't watch any of the first round with Thunder because they were just destroying them. So I'm intrigued about this matchup. I think the Nuggets can legitimately win. Like I said, Timberwolves Warriors. I'm going to lean Timberwolves here. Another run of the conference finals for Ant and the Wolves, maybe. I like this path for the Timberwolves, actually. Kind of an underrated year after a really good year last year. But yeah, I'm intrigued by the series as well. Can Steph does he have a little bit more magic in him to keep pushing for another chance at a finals? Maybe. We will have to see. But yeah, let's go to the East. Similarly to the Thunder and the Grizzlies, Cavs Heat was real bad. 4-game sweep. I think it was one of the most lopsided series ever as well, if not the most lopsided, in terms of the Cavs just destroying them. So not much to talk about there. Cavs win. Pacers Bucks. This one's interesting because you knew Dame was going to be out because he had that kind of blood clot thing. So that kind of put the Bucks at a disadvantage right away. I can't remember. I think I picked the Bucks to win, unfortunately. But then Dame came back, but I believe he tore his Achilles or something like that, or tore something in his leg. Just tough scenes for Dame. Probably won't ever win a championship, unfortunately. You thought maybe he could do it. I know that offseason they traded for Dame. It was like the biggest move. It's like, okay, the Bucks are winning it all. But it's just not how it has worked out. And credit the Pacers. They're moving on. They actually played game 1 versus the Cavs and beat them. So that could be an interesting series. But I think the biggest thing about the Bucks is, do they trade Giannis in the offseason? I think you have to, honestly, at this point. Their future is not bright whatsoever. The roster needs massive overhaul. And here's the thing: they don't got any picks. They don't have a future. And it's gonna be interesting to see where they go from here. And I just think Giannis is a goner. And I think there's plenty of suitors like Brooklyn, Houston could be a great place for him to go play. That could make it very interesting. So I think Giannis is a goner this offseason. But congrats to the Pacers for beating up on the Bucks for the second year in a row. Knicks Pistons. This series could have gone 7, and honestly, it could have gone either way, in my opinion. Obviously, Knicks win, but a lot of the games are close. And I think it was much closer than Knicks fans probably want to admit. Pretty interesting calls too at the end of some of these games. Brunson, a lot of fouls get called on Brunson. So the Knicks move on. I think it sets up a tough matchup with the Celtics. Um, let's just move on to that. The Celtics beat the Magic, very similar to Thunder and the Cavs. Nothing was stopping the Celtics from beating the Magic. So in the second round, Cavs Pacers. Like I said, the Pacers win game one. They did shoot like 50% from three, and the Cavs shot like 20% from three. So I think that can regress back to the mean. And I give the Cavs the advantage in that scenario. So I think the Cavs will be able to win this series, but Pacers winning game one makes it interesting. And Knicks Celtics, I like the Celtics here. I like what the Knicks did, bringing in Cat in the offseason. But I think at the end of the day, the Celtics are just a better team. So that's what has happened so far in the NBA. Interested to see how this ends up. Can the Celtics win another one? Can the Thunder finally show all these years of stockpiling talent will succeed? Can Jokic win another one? We will find out. But yeah, thank you guys. The NHL draft lottery is tomorrow, I believe, so we will have a video on that. And then the NBA draft lottery is like May 12th. We'll definitely have a video on that, especially if the Jazz are able to land Cooper Flag. That would be cool. So we'll have a video on both those things. Obviously, as the playoffs go on, like I said in yesterday's video, I want to start doing kind of more like, what am I trying to say here? More like instant reaction kind of videos. Like, instead of just kind of doing a recap like I am now, maybe just as the games go on, let's hop on the pod and let's just talk about it then. So then it's already in my brain, because I'm sure you guys can tell right now it's kind of vague. It's like I don't really know what happened. I'm just kind of going off what I've seen. So I want to do more of that. So tomorrow, I believe there's only like one NHL game. I think it's Hurricanes, Capitals, and I'm not exactly sure on the NBA side, but I'm excited for these next couple weeks. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, some of the draft lotteries, and then eventually the drafts for those leagues. And then before we know it, it will probably be around football season. And then before we know it, when it's football season, the World Series is going to be happening. An exciting time to be alive if you're a sports fan. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. Check out TikTok, YouTube Shorts for clips, stuff like that. It is so greatly appreciated. We're up to, 87 subscribers. That's outstanding. Road to 100. Let's get it. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.